Have you ever noticed that overthinking doesn't bring clarity? It brings paralysis? Psychology shows why. People often believe overthinking means thinking too much. But psychologically, that's not what's happening. Overthinking isn't an excess of thought. It's a refusal to feel. When the mind keeps looping, analyzing, replaying conversations, predicting outcomes, it isn't trying to solve a problem. It's trying to stay busy. Busy enough to avoid something uncomfortable underneath. Most overthinkers aren't confused. They're perceptive. They notice details others miss. They anticipate consequences. They read between the lines. But instead of using that awareness to move forward, they turn it inward. Thought becomes a substitute for action. Analysis becomes a substitute for emotion. And this pattern doesn't appear randomly. For many people, there was a time when feeling wasn't safe. When emotions were dismissed, rushed, or misunderstood. When expressing fear, uncertainty, or desire led to discomfort, rejection, or silence. So the brain adapted. Not by shutting down intelligence, but by redirecting it. It learned that thinking is safer than feeling. That analyzing is safer than experiencing. That predicting is safer than risking. So the mind stayed active, while the body stayed guarded. This is why overthinking shows up before decisions, before difficult conversations, before moments that require vulnerability. The mind starts asking endless questions. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I regret it? What if this goes badly? What if I'm misunderstood? These aren't questions looking for answers. They're questions designed to delay. Because as long as you're thinking, you don't have to act. And as long as you don't act, you don't have to feel the outcome. Psychologically, this creates a loop. Thought feeds avoidance. Avoidance feeds anxiety. Anxiety demands more thinking. And the loop feels responsible. Productive, even intelligent. After all, you're being careful. You're considering everything. You're trying to get it right. But notice what's missing. Presence. Overthinking pulls attention out of the moment and into imagined futures or replayed pasts. It disconnects you from what's actually happening now. This is why overthinkers feel exhausted without doing much. Why they feel mentally busy but emotionally stuck. Why clarity feels just out of reach. Because clarity doesn't come from more thinking. It comes from contact. Contact with uncertainty. Contact with emotion. Contact with the risk of being seen. What most overthinkers are avoiding isn't failure. It's vulnerability. Feeling without a script. Acting without certainty. Letting something matter enough to affect you. Vulnerability feels dangerous to a mind that learned to survive by controlling outcomes. So instead of stepping forward, the mind builds simulations. Instead of expressing, it rehearses. Instead of trusting, it calculates. And the more intelligent someone is, the more convincing this strategy becomes. Because intelligence can justify almost any delay. But over time, this protection turns into a prison. Opportunities pass while you're still thinking. Connections weaken while you're still analyzing. Confidence erodes while you're still preparing. Not because you're incapable, but because you're never fully present. And here's the quiet truth. Overthinking isn't a character flaw. It's a coping mechanism, a very effective one, until it isn't. It once helped you stay safe. It once helped you adapt. It once helped you avoid pain you weren't ready to handle. But now it's costing you something. It's costing you momentum. It's costing you intimacy. It's costing you trust in your own instincts. And the way out isn't to think less. It's to feel sooner. To notice when your mind starts looping and ask, what emotion am I trying not to touch right now? Discomfort, fear, excitement, desire, uncertainty. These emotions don't disappear when avoided. They move underground. And the mind works overtime to keep them there. So instead of chasing certainty, practice tolerance. Tolerance for not knowing. Tolerance for imperfect action. Tolerance for being emotionally exposed. You don't need to silence your thoughts. You need to stop using them as a shield. Because the moment you allow yourself to feel what you've been thinking around, the loop loosens. And thinking returns to what it was meant to be. A tool, not a hiding place. Overthinking fades not when life becomes predictable, but when you trust yourself to handle what you feel when it isn't. And that's what most overthinkers have been avoiding all along. If this felt uncomfortably accurate, It's not coincidence. It means you're noticing patterns most people ignore. Psychology isn't about labeling yourself. It's about understanding why your mind learned to work the way it does. If you want more breakdowns like this, quiet patterns, hidden habits, and the psychology behind them, subscribe to the channel. Each week, we explore the parts of human behavior most people never stop to question. And if this topic resonated, comment below with the one thought that kept repeating in your mind while watching. That's often where the real pattern begins.